Alright, you guys already know what it is. It is my weekly portfolio review series where I do reviews of my portfolios of subscribers, friends in the community, other creators, and so much more. And today we'll be going over Sangye's portfolio. We'll be going over her investing strategy, my thoughts on the holdings, what I'd like to see more of, what I'd like to see less of, and so much more. And again, if you guys want to submit your portfolio, do it over on the Discord. The goal of this series is to promote transparency amongst the finance community and ensure that my subscribers and my viewers have more guts and more balls than the big finance channels who won't share their losses like Jeremy. So if you appreciate that, make sure to subscribe. Alright, thank you, and of course, roll the intro.
Hello, I like money.
From what I understand, she's more of a growth-focused investor, and this is important to keep in mind because whenever I go over these portfolios, I like to know the investor's strategy, goals, age, objectives, and all that stuff before I like to actually give my criticism on the holdings, because her objectives with the portfolio and her holdings may be different from mine. But from what I understand, she is younger and more growth-focused, and currently it's a smaller portfolio as well, which is something that she mentioned, which I don't really care about whatsoever when I go over these portfolios. I've gone over portfolios that are $100, I've gone over portfolios that are $2.5 million. It really does not matter to me. I like to focus more on the qualities, the strategy itself. To start off, the first holding is one that I'm very fond of, and it is Visa, stock ticker V. Visa, in my opinion, is a top 3 business in the entire world. It is right up there with Microsoft and Apple. Visa's business is so easy to understand. Their payment processing network, they do not make money off of credit card fees. Essentially, every time somebody makes a transaction using a Visa card, they take a chunk of that transaction just through going the Visa system. It's one of the easiest businesses to understand and best and most efficient businesses. I call them a toll booth business because they're just basically the middlemen, and middlemen are the best businesses to invest in because of the low overhead structure, high pricing power, and other really attractive qualities from a business perspective. I actually think right now Visa long term is at a decent price to buy. If you look at its price to free cash flow and price to earnings ratio, they've continuously and aggressively grown their earnings, so it's even cheaper than it was at $205 because of how adequately that they've grown their free cash flow over the last couple of years. I recently made a video basically going over that, so if you're interested, I'd recommend you go check it out. The next company is Qualcomm, stock ticker QCOM. I really like Qualcomm as a business. Me personally, I'm not invested in it just because I really don't 100% understand the business nature. And to be clear, with semiconductor companies, I prefer fabless businesses due to the less capital expenditure needed to really run operations. I really like Qualcomm overall though as a business. I think they have very strong growth ahead of them, and I think it's a great long-term growth holding. The next company is OPRA, which is Opera, and Opera is a tech holdings company. I'm going to be completely honest, I know nothing about this one whatsoever. It's completely out of my basket range, and if you guys watch these series, you know that I really won't speak on any stocks that I know nothing about. From what I see though, it looks like more of a speculative growth play, but I'm sure she has her own thesis on it. The next company I know a lot about, and it's McDonald's, stock ticker MCD. McDonald's is trading near all-time highs. I think it's a really solid staple / growth option. Not only is it a staple, it's really a real estate company when you look at its business structure. It's such a strong brand, but it also has some decent growth ahead of it, especially with cosmetics, and if that really does well, I think there's some solid growth ahead with McDonald's. I own McDonald's in my portfolio. I haven't been able to buy because my cost per share is way below where it's trading at right now. But if it were to go back to the 250s, 240s where it was at in the fall, I really regret not buying back then. I will definitely add more McDonald's to my portfolio. Really strong dividend growth option here, and it offers some stability as well. I've had a few people ask me if you think that cosmetics will be an actual threat to my Starbucks holding, and I really don't think so. Not only do I think Starbucks have a lot more longevity, but I think cosmetics could potentially be a fad. I think there's a lot of demand there, but if there's literally one store in the entire country, of course there's going to be a lot of demand. Cosmetics sells items that are way more similar to something like Starbucks, so I think it will be interesting to see how it plays out. Once again though, once Cosmetics actually starts branching out, it has a lot of stores across the United States. I think that's when time will really tell if it's going to be a legit threat to Starbucks, but for now, I do not think so, and I'm not worried whatsoever. It does not impact my investment thesis. The next holding is Dropbox, and I honestly don't know much about this one either. The next company is Centene Corporation, stock ticker CNC, which is a managed health company, which is an interesting holding. I really have never thought of that as an investment. Honestly, I have never heard of this one either. Looking quickly at its financial, it has some really strong growth rates, especially in the free cash flow department. I actually really like this holding looking at it financially. It's a company I've never heard of, and it's an interesting business structure, so I'm definitely going to look into it. And the last holding here is Amazon, stock ticker AMZN. A lot of people have approached me about buying Amazon potentially since I'm invested in the cloud segment of Microsoft's business. I'll say this with Amazon though, I think at the right price it would be an interesting investment. The reason that I did not buy Amazon back when it was on a crazy dip, one, they weren't producing free cash flow. You guys know me, free cash flow is the most important metric in any business. Plus, I heard he had Microsoft for my cloud exposure. I think Amazon's a really strong company. I definitely consider it at the right price. And yes, I understand that they're positive in the free cash flow now. Also, Amazon was a potential competitor to some of my holdings back in the day when I would have had to buy it, Walgreens and Kroger being two of them. So for me, it just wouldn't make 100% sense to be buying Amazon. But if it ever went on a decline like that again, I would definitely consider buying. Overall, the portfolio, I think it's pretty solid. I'd love to see you build up Visa, McDonald's, and Amazon as really core positions, and Qualcomm as well. I think the other holdings are interesting. I'd like to look more into CNC myself. And OPRA, I don't know anything about, so I'm not going to speak on it, but I'm sure you have your own investing thesis on it. Alright, thank you very much for submitting your portfolio. Greatly appreciate it. Once again, if you guys want to submit your portfolio, do it on the Discord links in the description. Direct message me from there, and I will happily do a video on it. Also, make sure to check out the Do Dividend Stocks Not Drugs merchandise. It's the best looking merchandise. I own some myself. It's very nice. Many people have said very positive things about the merchandise, its comfortability, and all that sorts of stuff. So if you're interested in that, check out the link in the description. Alright, I want to thank you all so much for watching. Smash the like button, subscribe, and of course, Do Dividend Stocks Not Drugs. Have a good one.